Reach me. You can find my office numbers on my website at www.billjohnson.house.gov. I'm real easy to find. I'm your voice. I work for you. It's not the other way around. I said in many of the press conferences, you heard the EPA administrator and the governor from Pennsylvania and Ohio say we're in this for the long haul. We're going to be here until this is made right. And I want to reiterate once again, for those of you that may not have seen those press conferences, you're going to determine the finish line. You're going to determine when it's made right. And that's where I come in. We're going to make sure accountability is applied on the 28th of March in Washington, D.C. I chair a subcommittee on the Powerful Energy and Commerce Committee in the House. It's called the Environment, Manufacturing, and Critical Materials Subcommittee, and we're going to be having a hearing about the environmental response to all of this. And there will be other hearings. At some point, we will do a field hearing here, and we may actually have some of you testify to some of your experiences. We'll see how that goes, but at some point we'll do that. But I'm glad you're here, and I think tonight is an opportunity for you to ask the questions that you haven't gotten answers to. And I think you've got a willing group of participants in the agencies and Norfolk Southern here tonight to try and answer your questions and do the best they can to kind of give you a vision of what the future looks like. Again, if I can be of any assistance to you, don't hesitate to reach out. You'll be seeing me around town a lot when I'm not in Washington, so don't be afraid to come up and say hello or ask me a question. If I can do anything, that's what I'm here for. God bless you and have a good Q&A.
Thank you, Congressman Johnson and Mayor Conaway. I'm Deborah Shore. I'm the Regional Administrator for Region 5 of U.S. EPA, and that includes the great state of Ohio. Thanks everyone for joining us this evening. I want to start by emphasizing that EPA Region 5's #1 priority is and always will be the health and safety of communities across the region and those that live here. It's been almost a month since Norfolk Southern's train derailment on Friday, February 3rd. EPA personnel were on site by 2 a.m. Saturday morning to assist with air monitoring, and EPA has been boots on the ground every day since. We are currently conducting 24/7 air monitoring at 16 stations throughout the community. And I'm pleased to report that since the fire was extinguished on February 8th, EPA monitors have not detected any volatile organic compounds above levels of health concern in the community that are attributable to the train derailment. In addition, we're happy to take your questions, and I hope you'll grant me the courtesy of letting me finish. In addition, EPA has been assisting with indoor air screenings for homes through a voluntary screening program offered to residents to reassure them and help restore the peace of mind that was taken from them on the night of February 3rd. As of today, 589 homes have been screened through this program, and no detections of vinyl chloride or hydrogen chloride have been identified. While we're encouraged by this data, we recognize that the people of East Palestine still have questions about the health and safety of their community and their loved ones. And every time a train whistle blows, they are reminded of the trauma visited upon them by Norfolk Southern. That's why on February 21st, we used one of our most powerful enforcement tools, hold the railroad accountable. Norfolk Southern is being required to pay for the trauma they have caused and forced to clean up the mess that they made. In no way, shape, or form will Norfolk Southern get off the hook for the mess they created. EPA's order marked the transition of the multi-agency response from its emergency phase to a longer-term cleanup phase. We are completely aligned and working with our federal, state, and local partners through a unified command structure to coordinate these cleanup-related efforts. The order requires the company to submit plans for all steps necessary to clean up the environmental damage caused by the derailment. EPA and the rest of the Unified Command have been reviewing and revising several of these plans, and tonight we will be able to share updates with you about 2 of them. Mark Durno is one of our most experienced regional response coordinators, and he's here tonight with me to share more details in a minute, but I'd like to hit on a couple of key points. First, I know many of you have questions about dioxins. EPA has and will continue to sample for indicator chemicals which, based on test results to date, suggest a low probability for release of dioxins from this incident. That being said, we have heard from you. We've heard directly from the community, and we understand your concern about dioxins. So I'm here tonight that EPA will require Norfolk Southern to sample directly for dioxins under our oversight, and we will direct the company to conduct immediate cleanup if contaminants from the derailment are found at levels that jeopardize people's health. This action builds on EPA's bipartisan efforts alongside our local, state, and federal partners to earn the trust of this community and to ensure that all residents have the reassurances they need and deserve to feel safe at home once again. And I've got good news about another high priority. I've heard from many residents who feel that the community can't truly heal as long as contamination remains at the derailment site. EPA and our partners in the Unified Command are in the process of approving Norfolk Southern's plan to remove the railroad tracks and to excavate the contaminated soil at the accident site. The sooner they dig it up, the sooner they can get it out of town. This is going to be a complicated, big project, but work could begin as soon as tomorrow if EPA and the Unified Command approve. I want to remind folks that at any point, if the company fails to complete any of the actions ordered by EPA, we will immediately step in, conduct the work that needs to be done, and then force Norfolk Southern to pay triple the cost in accordance with the powers granted by my agency. During the time that I've spent here, it's been clear to me that this is a special place, and you're special people. The folks that live here have roots that go back generations. We owe it to everyone affected by the Norfolk Southern train derailment to ensure that you can continue to build those roots, that future generations can continue to proudly call this area home, and that's what EPA is working towards, and we will not be leaving until you are satisfied. And now I'd like to hand the microphone to my colleague, Adam Ortiz, who's the Regional Administrator of EPA Region 3, which includes Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. There's a round of applause for Deb, but I kind of ask everybody to join me in a round of applause for the people of this region that have put up with such trauma in the last month. Thank you for your resilience and your strength. So I represent EPA Region 3, that's the Mid-Atlantic region, and that includes Pennsylvania. And although it's the other side of the border, it is one environment. And we are stepping up in a team effort, working across regions, working across states, working across all levels of government, including local government. Mayor Conaway, I want to thank you for hosting this meeting tonight and being our moderator. I want to thank all the local leaders for the mayor. I want to thank all the local leaders that were first on the scene on that terrible night, for you stepping up every day, every single day, including that terrible night. I also want to thank all the agencies and folks in the nonprofit organizations and the students who hosted Administrator Regan a few days ago. Can we have a round of applause for them, for the leadership that they showed? So my region does not include Ohio, but it does include Pennsylvania, which is still a victim of this terrible event. Today, we visited the third day of the Darlington Township Resource Center, which is where all levels of government, as well as the different agencies, are coming together. We are graciously appreciative of the hospitality of Darlington Township for hosting the Resource Center. And that is where any resident can step up and get their questions answered, whether it's about monitoring or about health impacts. So I want to give a very special thanks to the local leaders of the township, the supervisors and the staff, and the chief of police who we had a great conversation with today. Today's the third day that the Resource Center has been open. We're averaging about 100 people coming in a day. So Pennsylvanians, any Pennsylvanians in the room? All right, you are not forgotten. You are not forgotten. The resources are available for you because we're all in this together as a common resource. And in that room, in the Resource Center, there are tables from Pennsylvania DEP, from the Department of Agriculture, from the Department of Health. The state toxicologist herself, Dr. Miller, is there. Emergency personnel are there. Behavioral health are there. Community volunteers are there. And clergy is there too for people that seek that support. So we're so grateful for them. Also, I want to thank the folks of Beaver County who stepped up. Jack Manning is leading a great team of the hazmat team that was first on the scene. It includes one of our employees, Kevin Clark, who's also an on-scene coordinator and has been on the ground with the rest of our team helping support Deb Shore and the folks here in this region. I want to conclude by saying that we are here for you. We are not going anywhere. We were here on the first night of the incident. We are here today and we'll be here until life returns to normal. Thank you again, everybody, for coming out and spending time to listen and learn and solve this problem together.
Good evening, folks. My name is Mark Durno. I'm a response coordinator for EPA. I promised I'm the last EPA speaker. I know you have questions, and you want to get to those questions. But I do want to briefly describe some of the activities that EPA is going to be taking on over the next several weeks, and some of the new updates that Administrator Shore touched on. And again, I will be brief. The first issue that Administrator Shore touched on was the issue of dioxins. But it's more than just dioxins, it's soil sampling. We have heard from you. You have told us that you want more soil sampling done around the city and the areas that were impacted by this incident. So we are in the process of reviewing some plans from the company to review and initiate soil sampling activities in the area. That includes dioxins. So dioxins are a bit tricky. Any time we burn materials, wood, other materials, dioxins can be formed. So how do we distinguish those compounds that are present in the environment from the compounds that may have been released from the derailment site? So the way this is going to work, and again, the company is developing the plans. We will not approve the plans until they meet scientific validity to implement the studies that I'm about to tell you about. First is a background study. The background study will tell us whether or not, or what levels of natural dioxins, not natural dioxins, but dioxins available in the environment, and what their presence looks like in areas similar to East Palestine. The second is sampling within the community. The third, if it's scientifically feasible, and was proposed by Norfolk Southern, to fingerprint detectable dioxins and determine whether or not they were related to the train incident. Again, we will not approve any plan that we do not believe is scientifically feasible. So that's step one. That's plan one. Again, accountability under EPA's orders are developed through a work plan process. The second work plan that we're in the process of approving, should be approved tonight, is the one that Administrator Shore touched on, and that is the train track removal and contaminated soil removal operation. So with this plan, it's going to happen in two phases. Phase one involves removing one side of the tracks, digging out contaminated soil, sampling and verifying that the removal has been done to appropriate levels, and then backfilling and restoring the train track. And then that whole process happens again on with the other track. It's two tracks moving through the system. So that track removal may happen, start as soon as tomorrow, as we mentioned earlier, but only if EPA and Unified Command approve the plan. Norfolk Southern has prepared a one-page fact sheet on their operations, and you can find that fact sheet at their table over in the resource fair in the gymnasium. So
how do we know if that's correct and everything's in the ground?
we'll get the questions after this.
Great.
So a couple issues that you need to know about with respect to this operation. First, air monitoring. Expanded air monitoring will occur during this operation. We know once we open up the ground, there could be some potential vapor releases and odors. Engineering controls will be put into place to control potential releases. We've got a whole list of those potential controls that could be put into place, which includes covering the open excavation, using vapor suppressive tactics, pausing operations or suspending operations based on their monitoring results, and making sure that all community concerns that are reported are dealt with immediately. On the fact sheet that the company has put together, they do have their community hotline listed on that fact sheet that you can call if you have concerns about any part of that operation. So some other factors that are going to be involved with the operation include everything that's going on right now, including dust control, including street sweeping, truck cleaning, etc. We want to ensure that what goes off-site does not release onto our roads. So be assured that EPA can stop Norfolk Southern operations at any time if we feel that they're not being handled safely, and if we feel that what's happening on site or in the community is not appropriate. So with that, I will turn it over to the next speaker, and thank you for your attention.
We're going to wait and keep dying until we get around to it.
All right, I got it. No speeches. I'm Ann Vogel. I am the director of the Ohio EPA. I am happy to be here. Thank you, Chief. I think Jack is here now. I want to say thank you to all of you who continue to ask good questions of us. It's so important, and we hope what we're trying to say tonight is that we're hearing you, that we are listening, that we are taking action. I want to tell you not what we've done, but what we are doing to keep you safe moving forward. So Governor DeWine was here yesterday to see the progress that has been made on the cleanup, but to also see what Ohio EPA is doing to make sure that your water is safe for years to come. There are sentinel wells installed. I hope you will all come to the open house at the Village Water Treatment Plant on Saturday morning to see where your municipal wells are, to see how we test them, to see the sentinel wells that are installed to make sure that if any contamination is even creeping towards them over the next decades, we'll know about it before it gets to your drinking water. The monitoring wells that are being installed under the tracks will do the same thing. Make sure that the groundwater is not contaminated in the region at all. So please come out on Saturday, and we hope that you continue to ask good questions of us. I have a whole team, it's not just me. Got a lot of expertise, a lot of scientists behind me. They can answer your really hard questions for you. So I'm going to shut up and sit down, and thank you for your questions in advance.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Captain Jill Sugar, and I am serving as the CDC, or Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, ATSDR, the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry team lead here in East Palestine. We have been working with our local, state, and federal partners since the early days of this incident, and we have been on the ground for almost 2 weeks. One of the primary tasks that we have been doing is conducting an ACE investigation, which is an assessment of chemical exposures. This is a rapid assessment to learn a little bit more about any potential health impacts that may have occurred from chemical exposures. We have a multidisciplinary team here with me, a team made up of epidemiologists, environmental health scientists, and health communicators. We have been interviewing residents and conducting our survey both here in Ohio and also in Pennsylvania, and we have already completed over 200 ACE surveys.
Please.
We will be rolling.
Is this an award ceremony or what?
I believe questions are next. We will be
Right now.
rolling out our first responder survey this weekend and are looking forward to that. It does take about 3 weeks to collect the data that we are finding as we're going out into the communities. And then we will be able to share that information in the coming months with our state health partners. So I am joined here tonight by Dr. Art Chang, who is a medical toxicologist with CDC ATSDR. And we also have a whole team that is here. We have a booth, and we're happy to answer any of your questions and provide some health information. Thank you very much.
All right, so we're going to get to the questions. We have 2 microphones down front. Please walk down to the microphones, state your question. One at a time, please. We don't need a bunch of lines. Just wait. We're here to get answers. Please don't talk over each other. Just let them answer the questions that you have.
My question's for the EPA.
Ohio or U.S.?
So it's known that it can, in like, so it's known that with the combustion of the vinyl chloride, it can lead to the dioxins. Why did the EPA turn a blind eye to the potential hazard to the people in East Palestine? Why did you guys allow the controlled or uncontrolled release? Second question is, if it's controlled, why was Mahoning and Trumbull County put shelter in place when we're in Columbiana County? That doesn't seem controlled to us. And you knew the potential hazard, so why did you guys allow that in the first place? Was it your decision, or was it Norfolk's decision? And who supervised that alongside of you?
So, a couple of questions in there, and I'll endeavor to answer them. The immediate emergency response to the derailment was under this authority of Ohio EPA. Though we had people on the ground, as I noted, from 2 a.m. the morning after the derailment, the decision about the vent and burn, as I understand it, was made by local authorities in conjunction with the National Guard, the governor, and Norfolk Southern. So that occurred following the vent and burn, and during and following, EPA had air monitors out and was continuing to collect data, and we were looking for primary byproducts of the burning of vinyl chloride, which is phosgene and is it hydrogen chloride. Dioxins are a secondary byproduct of the combustion of vinyl chloride. If we were not finding evidence of phosgene and hydrogen chloride, then it was even more unlikely that we would find dioxins as a result of that combustion in the environment. However, because of your concerns, as I noted earlier, we've been directing Norfolk Southern to take soil samples, to do a background screening, and we're exploring this fingerprinting technique to see if, like a kind of DNA test for chemicals, if there are dioxins found in the environment here that can be attributed to the derailment. Mark, do you have anything to add? Thank you, sir.
My name is Spencer Gallagher. I am from Lawrence County, Pennsylvania. My question, I have a couple of questions actually. The dioxin issue is one of my major concerns, and it holds a special place, I don't want to say in my heart, but I've written letters for veterans to receive Agent Orange exposure papers in order for them to get their settlements from the Veterans Affairs. And when you burn any type of vinyl chloride, any type of chloride whatsoever, you create dioxins. And I understand they're very hard to test for because they're toxic at such low levels. 1 part per billion is toxic to a human being. And we should all know from our veterans that came home from Vietnam, many of them didn't manifest ailments for many, many years, but many of them have died. So the thing about dioxins is it takes a long time for them to break down. In sunlight, their half-life is like 10 to 11 years, but in darkness, it can be decades to hundreds of years. So we need to have comprehensive testing because when the black cloud of death, I like to call it, went up, the high split model from NOAA that the National Weather Service in Newton Township, the Pittsburgh International Airport, their model showed the plume originating from East Palestine and going all over western Pennsylvania, western New York, going up into New Hampshire, Vermont. And we understand from Chernobyl, from that disaster, it's a little bit different, but there are many similarities, that there can be hot spots from fallout because of precipitation mainly, which can bring down heavier doses of contamination areas many miles away from the initial spot of the initial burn-off or the plume or whatever you wish to call it. So I would like to know exactly, my second question is, actually goes along with the first, there's a lot of conflicts of interest that very well concern me. CTA, which is Norfolk Southern's own subcontractor that they do all their testing with, they have a very bad track record of doing some shady things, which is kind of, I don't know Secondly, one of your initial tests to the EPA over here, when they said everything was fine, was done by a company called Tetra. Now, Tetra is very interesting. They currently are under investigation by the Department of Justice because they were, so the government's shooting itself in its own foot, we're working for the Naval Department and covering something up with them, and the Department of Justice is actually suing them currently in federal court over that cover-up. They are also owned by a company called BlackRock, who is the second highest shareholder in Norfolk Southern. There's too many conflicts of interest. We need to have I don't know how we can have Norfolk Southern be the ones in charge of the testing. I believe they should be the ones to pay for it. But I think the EPA should try to find a neutral third party to do the testing so that there can be more transparency. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to remind you all that we are starting the dioxin assessment, so stay tuned for that.
Starting.
Hi, my name is Jamie Kosa. I'm sorry that the Representative Johnson has already gone. He says to reach out, but he still has not returned my phone call. I'd also like to ask him how much funding he gets for his campaigns for the railroad. So that question isn't for y'all, but he can answer that later.
Well, I will answer that question for you. Everything he got donated, he donated back to the fire department.
I didn't ask that. I said, why didn't he return my phone call? Why haven't you returned my phone call, Mayor? I sent you messages and asked you, I stopped in your office, which by the way is atrocious that you're making those women work in there with that smell.
First of all, ma'am, I'm not making anybody work anywhere.
Well, what else are you gonna do?
You need to educate yourself how this town works.
Educate myself?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't need you to educate me, Mr. Mayor, but I'll go ahead and finish. You never returned my message after the town hall, and you also never responded when I asked you to do a youth town hall with our nonprofit organization. Instead of working with the community and actually attending our town hall, you decided to feed our kids the Kool-Aid and have the EPA there. I never had an issue until that. You did not respond to me. But besides, that's not.
I will not go anywhere where there's attorneys present.
There wasn't attorneys present.
It was put on by River Valley Organizing. I am
Really?
Yes, I am. My number one
Which
goal
attorney?
is the citizens of this town, and
Okay.
I'm not going to be involved
Which
with any-
attorney? Which attorney was there?
I have no idea. Every other
We
meeting we've
didn't,
had.
right, no, we haven't had attorneys at any of our meetings.
And I went
Check
to the
yourself.
school. I'm sorry I didn't do
Check
it.
yourself. We didn't have attorneys, we're not affiliated with attorneys, we're not trying to get anything here. We are here for the community and we're from the community. We had independent scientists there, and there was one attorney there that was giving legal advice, not taking representation. They weren't trying to get anybody's money. They were trying to tell people simply what their rights were. We were trying to give them answers that weren't coming from the EPA and that weren't coming from Norfolk Southern.
Do you have a question
Why
for
don't
somebody
you
on
take
the
it?
stage that they can answer?
Well, maybe. I don't know. They're all scientists. They're sitting up here telling us nothing's wrong. I want you to tell me why everybody in my community is getting sick.
I want the
Why-
same answers.
Why am I
Right.
sitting here? Well, then let's get them. Why
Well,
am I
they're
sitting
here,
here?
but everybody
listening?
has to make 15-minute
Okay.
statements. I'm sorry.
All right,
We're
well,
doing the best we can here.
Okay.
And by the way, just so everybody knows, I tried to keep my cool and now I've lost it, and I
Right.
apologize.
Go ahead.
I'm a part-time mayor. I have to
I
feed
know
my
that.
family too.
I understand that. But I have defended you until this last time when I asked you to attend our meeting. You never even called me back. You just assumed that you knew what it was. My question is, why are people getting sick if there's no talks? Why are people getting sick?
Can somebody answer
I
that?
just want to know why people are getting sick.
So do I.
Thank you.
So I talked a little bit about our ACE investigation that we're here doing. So we do have a team here that is trying to collect health information so that we have a better understanding of the potential exposures and health effects.
But how long is this going to take? I'm watching my family slow die. They're dying slowly now in front of my eyes. It's been a month.
I understand your concerns. And it's going to take us about 3 weeks to collect the data that we need to make sure that we have a good understanding of the full picture. And then we will be working with our state health partners to make sure that that information is presented.
Bring your kids down to St. Mine for 3 weeks. That will sit here. Wait another couple of months on here.
Why are we here if the studies aren't done?
Right, why are we here?
Next question, Josh.
All right, thank you. So, I'm not here to blame anybody or jump the gun like she was. I just want to tell my story a little bit and then say something, but my name is Joshua Figley. I live on 131 South Market Street, and I have a family of 5, sometimes 6. I've spent the last 15 years trying to build myself up, and I've been, putting everything we got into our home, into our house. I lived here my entire life. I love this town. Every one of you people up there are just like me. You are doing the best you can, and we know that. But you know, just like we know, what happened here was catastrophic. It is not going to get better overnight. We have people living here. Do you live here? No. So it's not as effective to you. You can tell us and treat us like we're children. Tell us about the statistics. The point is, you get a chemical disaster like this, exploding, the dioxins are so low. It's there. You can't say it's not. If that happened to your grandchildren, your children, you would pull them. But you're letting people stay here. You're covering it up. And it's not your fault. It's all protocol. We need to do something. It's not going to get better. And by the time it does, it's going to be too late. These people, some people don't have nowhere to go, some don't have the means. I have my family of 5 living in a 1-bedroom right now at my brother's house, all of us, on a blow-up mattress. Because I'm not stupid. But that's the only place I got. I can't afford to go nowhere. Why? Because I have a home. I own it. I've put my life into it. No, there's no answer for the questions. There's not. The reality is we have to get out. I hate to say it, I love this town more than anybody else. I do. And I'm not saying don't come back, but you can't live here while the cleanup's happening because it's not going to get better until it's gone.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say something. It's not my place to say it, but because this sucks and we're all here, I'm sorry for every one of you. Nobody said that to you guys. Somebody should be apologizing because we all deserve one. We shouldn't be here on a Thursday evening when we should be at home in our homes and having dinner and enjoying time with our families. Beer or whiskey, whatever. We're all scared, and now I need a double whiskey. But this is something, and I know everybody's got questions, so I'm going to make this as quick as I can. This has touched me on every level. This has touched my family. This has touched my friends. This has touched my farm. This has touched my animals. This has touched my finances. This has touched my home. And it will touch me to the cellular level when I get diagnosed with cancer, ALS, or whatever is going to come down the road if I stay in this contaminated, toxic town, and you all know it. Exactly. You want to sit up there and say that it's good news that they're tearing up the tracks and they're going to remove the soil that should be removed? If any other citizen had a heating oil tank that leaked, they'd have to dig it up and they'd get cited and fined. But you know what? Norfolk is a Goliath and we are no match. I got it. Point taken. Norfolk is in here bullying everybody. We've got people like Trent. We've got people like Keith here. They didn't sign up for this kind of disaster. This is the biggest one in our country, and they are doing the best they can to take care of us. I want answers. That other gentleman came up here and he was talking about how Norfolk has their finger in every pot and what is going on and how do we know this is fair and balanced. And not one of you went up there and answered. Not one of you stood your ground and said, I'm sorry, we're going to make this right for you people because we've screwed your lives up. So my question is pretty basic, and there should be an answer, because I watched people collecting water samples in Leslie Run. I want to know, and I want an answer tonight on this stage from somebody, because y'all know it. My first question, what are the toxins in Leslie Run? Is it the benzene? Is it the butyl-acrylate? It's not the vinyl chloride. Somehow, like I said last time, pixie dust, it goes up in smoke and then it's just gone right out of the air. It's amazing. But the dioxins are in the ground from what? A campfire, a gas grill? Give me a break. But everything from that train from Friday night that just smoldered is absolutely magically gone. What is in Leslie Run? And I was also told it's not a matter of if my well becomes contaminated, it's a matter of when. That was told to me by the EPA. And I won't name, I'm not going to name the name. It travels at 1 mile per year. Leslie Run is 1/8 a mile from my house, and it's highly contaminated. So contaminated contaminated. It's like a little coffee stirrer full of toxins that has made its way into the river so far downstream into Cincinnati and Kentucky that they're still finding the chemicals there. So how contaminated is our little stream, and how long until my well goes back and my property is absolutely worthless? What is in Leslie Rye?
Why is she still there?
You will activate. We've said it all since day one. We know what's in there, and we are working as hard as we can to get it out. All of the sampling that we're doing is posted online. We're being incredibly transparent so that you can know what we're doing. All of the aeration that you see happening in Leslie Run,
Which isn't an appropriate way, really, to do that. We're kind of putting it out in the air. No danger for that.
and please continue to have your well tested. If you need the number again, I've got that, but continue to have your private well tested, and let's talk about solutions for your options for not being on the well if we're concerned about that.
Absolutely.
Okay, absolutely.
Hi, I'm a resident that is a quarter mile away from the site, and as you can see, there aren't as many people here as all the other things that were put together from the derailment. This is the least amount of people I've seen gathered, and I don't know if it's because of the information you are giving or not, but every person that I've talked to that's reached out to me does not feel comfortable in their own home. They either have severe issues, reactions, their kids vomiting, nosebleeds, numbness in their mouth, numbness in their fingers. They have stomach cramping, they have diarrhea, they feel foggy and drunk. People are driving down the road, look like they're all under the influence. I've watched at least 6 or 7 people in 10 minutes swerve and almost hit people. Cars parked. And now you're saying it's okay for me to take my kids into my house, when after 30 minutes I'm there, I throw up. My mouth goes numb. I can't think properly. My head pounds so hard that it takes 3 hours when I leave the area for it to dissipate. It is not safe in my home. I can't sell my home. And if I would sell my home and a family moves into my family home, how would I feel if a child gets cancer because of that? I do not think the houses are safe. Some may be because of their structure. My house is not safe, and many other people's homes are not safe. We have to sit in other places uncomfortable, just like that man in a small bedroom. Some people can't afford, they're working to go to hotels. They're paying to be in a hotel to pull their children out of this town to watch their symptoms dissipate. And I know for a fact you have all experienced a symptom. You know you have. And then you leave and it goes away. And you come back and it's here again. I'm being told to live in that. My independent testing came up moderate, high on a lot of things. I can't live with myself to watch my kids die in my own home. And now I can't do anything with it morally. I'm stuck. No one's coming to save us. You guys are giving options for these things here. We want to know numbers. We want to know how it's going to be taken care of. We wanted to hear a game plan tonight from you guys to say this is where we're going, not 3 weeks. So now I have to wait another 3 weeks before anything's done. You haven't said anything about surface testing. You haven't said anything about testing dioxins in our home. Yes, you'll find a level, possibly. But if it's an extreme level and I'm living in that house, now it's not safe, just like the water.
So, good evening. My name is Darrell Wilson. I'm with Norfolk Southern Corporation, and I'll be the only person speaking, although we do have 12 people in the resource fair next door that can answer a lot of the questions, and that's why we brought them here. One thing I would like to say and address one of the last speakers is that we are sorry. We're very sorry for that. We feel horrible about it. When we
The people here are forced to be here at this moment, financially forced to be here.
So we're sorry for what happened. We have a plan. We have a plan to do that. We're ready to start tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. That is not our decision to make. We are no longer in control of the site. We are ready to go. We are ready to go tomorrow. We have information on the plan. We have the person that actually helped write the plan next door, willing to talk to all of you. That's why we're here. We know you have questions. We want to give you the answers that we can. We want to be transparent. We already had a plan. When they took over the site, we had to resubmit the plan to them. No, it's our plan. We came up with the plan. It's our property under the tracks. It's our
Clean up your mess. What about our mess that we have to live in?
So the contamination that's on site, it took us a number of weeks to figure out where it is, what it is, and to engineer it. And to engineer it. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to clean up the site. We're going to clean up the site. We're going to test until we get all the contamination going. All right? But we are sorry, and we do care. We do. If you would, for those of you who have concerns about that can be addressed by the Family Assistance Center, you should call the Family Assistance Center. The center is open. The center is open, okay? And I have other news, okay? We're coming to the village. We have a place to relocate from Abundant Life Church. So we're going to be here, and we signed a long lease. So we're going to be here for a long time. And we're going to make it right. And we're going to be here, all right?
I have a question and a polite concern. And because Sulphur Run runs through my wife and I's property, and without going into any detail, it's destroyed. There's no sign of life. There's not even a sparrow to speak of. But my question is, have you considered dredging the creek, Sulphur Run or Lesser Run? And the reason why I ask is because I've been kind of checking the creek myself. And the contamination, I think, is at least 6 inches deep, probably deeper in other parts. And my concern is, if you don't, and anyone who's here knows what I'm speaking of, anyone who's not here needs to understand that when the spring rains come, that little quiet stream you see becomes a raging torrent. I mean, it's kind of scary. I mean, it's powerful. And it's going to blast through the dam that you constructed. And the contaminants that are soaked into the bed of the creek are going to go everywhere. They're going to wash way out of the landscape. And that's my fear, because it's lethal. The toxins in there are lethal. And like I said, there's no sign of life. This time of year, it's usually bursting with life with the sparrows and everything. So that's, and I ask respectfully, meanwhile, and I just thought if you consider dredging it, I really think you need to, for the benefit of everyone here and anyone downstream of this, because I really believe lives are at stake.
Well, thank you for your question. And what I'll say, what I'll say is that nothing is off the table, okay? So what we're doing right now is sediment washing. If you see the guys out there, they are agitating the sediment that you are finding contaminant in, trying to get that compound up out of the sediment, get it into the water, get it aerated, speed up that biological breakdown, okay? Of course, but this is still the emergency phase.
Sure.
Getting that gross contamination out, right? We're not done.
I've seen a similar operation up in Cleveland. This house is a wedding gift my wife and I bought for ourselves. It's our cottage. So is our vacation here. So, but I think that, yeah, you need to dredge. I don't think there's really I don't need the argument.
You're not, no, I appreciate it.
But I don't think there is. It's probably your best chance of fixing this. My wife and I are concerned our property is a total loss, and it would tear our hearts out to have to leave here. There's a party, RV. Party is the cottage we bought, and then the party is the people here. I mean, it's a lot of fun to come to. It's worth calling an vacation. It's a good destination. So hopefully, some of that.
So we have like 10 more minutes. Let's try to get as many questions in here as we can.
Hi, I'm a local resident. I live about a mile from the derailment. My family and I are still living in a hotel. About 4 weeks later, our house is still very contaminated. It has an overwhelming, disgusting chemical smell. We can't be in it at all without getting violently sick. All our symptoms are matching CDC guidelines for the chemical exposure. I've been told by poison control hotline that they match allergic reaction to an irritant, which is what we all know has been on the trains. My question is, though, why we're not talking about a 2019 Ohio EPA report that talked about the city water infrastructure of East Palestine not being sufficient enough to control any contaminants like this, including a chemical spill. There's a guy named Tim Iredum, I think, who had published a report and basically said it wouldn't withstand this, and that's not what we're being told by EPA. And I'm just kind of curious why we're not talking about that.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. The report does talk about the susceptibility of the well field, and you're right about that. If you will go next door and pick up this map or look online, so it will tell you, it will show you where the well field is, where those municipal wells are in comparison to the accident. So the water is moving northwest to southeast versus, so it's not going through the contamination. And
How many feet from the well?
And I really do hope that you'll come out on Saturday to the water treatment plants, because you can actually see, you can visualize.
How long will it take to get to those wells? How many years?
It's not going to go, no. It's not going to go through the contamination, right?
Why are we still being told there's no residue from the fallout? But I mean, we're seeing it in places in Canada. They're seeing the iridescent in the snow melts. I mean, that obviously went up into the air and landed in other places. Why are we still acting like it's not, doesn't have residue?
No answer. No answer. Well, give him a second to get up here.
We're not aware of any residue or contamination that is spread outside of the primary contamination zone. So, if there's information that we can look at, please pass it on.
My question's for the toxicologist. I'll give you time to get up here. My question is, continuing making doctor's appointments, talking to different doctors, trying to find a PCP, all of them, me, my wife, they have no test. They don't know what the test's for. Urinalysis, blood panel. They have no idea, but they say come in. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm Arthur Chang, or the medical toxicologist from CDC, and I want to thank everyone for letting me be at the Welcome Center and talk to you in this time. Okay. So we're working with the health department and providing that guidance to all the clinicians on how to do the testing. Okay. Can I just finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So as a doctor, I want to be able to help my patients and get results back that are actionable. Okay? So that will be the routine testing, like your complete blood count, your complete metabolic panel that has liver enzymes, kidney function, okay, and whether you have protein in the urine or not. Those things I can treat, I can do stuff about. The specialized testing for the other chemical compounds there's a lot of nuances. Those are first sent out to reference labs, okay? And then the interpretation extremely difficult. One is they can have false positives and false negatives, okay? So what my approach has been when everyone has shown up to the Welcome Center is, I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to consider your symptoms, okay? And based on your symptoms, I'm going to give you advice. And if those symptoms require testing, we're going to have your doctors do that, okay? So we're working with the health department to answer those questions. I know that people call the poison center already. We're working with them as well. So there are a lot of experts that are assisting as much as we can.
Okay. Next question, real quick, is for Norfolk. I heard you say that you're starting something tomorrow as the term real estate come up. What is it you're starting tomorrow?
What I was talking about is we hope to start the remediation plan on our tracks and take the soil out underneath our tracks and remove all of the contamination.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, hey boss, this is for you. Oh, okay.
Okay.
My name's Mike. The question is, why wouldn't you guys dig it up first before you put the railroad back through? Is it because you guys are losing too much money?
Very good question. We know.
You want to dig up one track, leave the other track, and put the track back and dig up the other track, but wouldn't you contaminate the other side you just dug up?
No, so if you go next door,
That's physically impossible.
Yeah.
To dig up, you'd have to take both tracks out, dig them up, so you wouldn't contaminate the other side.
So if you'd like to learn more about the plan,
It's not about the plan, dude. It's like common sense. Science. Here's science. What did you learn in science? Did you learn a mushroom cloud?
it's very
What does a
simple.
mushroom cloud mean in science?
It's very simple engineering, okay? We ran this by both the fire chief and the mayor. The idea is to keep the truck traffic to a reasonable level for public safety issues.
Okay, so don't run the trains.
So,
Don't run the trains. No, don't run the trains. You already have 170 blocked off, if I'm correct. Or whatever, I'm not good with names. But right down there by Leaks, have your trucks run in and out of there. Don't run your trains. Get the stuff cleaned up that it should have been done in the first place before the evacuation was even lifted.
so we can't even.
And the whole reason why that you did that was, I don't think it's to show as money, it's so you guys could have got out of here as fast as possible before the EPA stepped in or anybody else.
No, that's not.
Well, then how did you guys run the trains 15 minutes and you're saying that everything's contaminated? You knew it's contaminated.
There were multiple
You didn't
ways.
clean it.
There were multiple ways to look at this contamination in the site and figure out how.
So we're getting mixed because it's never happened.
No, soil vapor evaporation. There are a lot of other techniques. We heard you. You said you want us to dig it up, so we came up with a plan to do that. We cannot. Listen. There are still tank cars on the site, on the north side, because they're under a temporary restraining order. We can't remove them until people get to inspect the cars. Okay. So, no, it's illegal. It's a legal issue. Okay. So we couldn't even remediate the north side until we can get those cars out of there, and we don't know when that's going to take place. So we're starting on the south side. We're going to get that done, and then sometime around March the 28th, 29th, knock on wood for good weather, we'll start the north track, and we'll be done by the end of April.
The only other question I got for this, and in all honesty, if this happened in a richer neighborhood, a richer town, let's say a bigger neighborhood, would it have been cleaned up a lot faster?
Sir, I'm going to tell you that we really have never had an accident like this in my career. Okay? So, still want me or?
Yeah, just like Josh Figley, you know, I've put my heart and soul into my house up here on the hill, you know, the firefighters know that the smoke in a fire is the evidence of like unburned fuel. Like smoke can catch on fire, right? Like the smoke can catch on fire. That's the evidence of unburned fuel. That's wind came straight north I have a huge garden. I raise all my animals. Like, I feed my family from my property. Like, and I feed my family from work, which I worked at Stroh Hector's. And the skin fell off my hands from grabbing the machines when I went back to work. I couldn't breathe, and I quit my job. So now I can't provide for them that way, and I don't have the garden, and I don't have, and nobody wants to test at my place. So, when's New Spring, like that, it was like a cave at my house. I took the kids away, and I had to come back and check on them. And it's, I mean, it was as black as, you couldn't see this without a flashlight. I filled up my wood burner, and I just went back home, or to my mom's house.
Have you called any of the numbers for soil testing?
I've called every number that there is, because I lost my job over this, and I have all the time in the world.
Well, if you'd like to give me your information, I'll call you tomorrow, and we'll talk about this.
Thank you, sir.
We'll talk about it.
Okay, I appreciate that, but no, what effects from the smoke and like people that are losing their jobs, like, I guess. What do I do? Everything I've put into it. I don't make that much money. We don't make that much money.
Get it, Chief, if you could get his name and number, we'll call him, talk to him tomorrow.
Okay, well, talk to me, we'll talk to everybody. Talk to everybody. I don't want to... Like, why did the skin fall off my hands if it was safe? Like, I've run machines for 18 years. I got tough hands. I cut firewood.
I would just tell you to seek medical attention for that. Definitely from a medical professional. I'm not a licensed medical doctor, so I can't really help that.
Medical attention, good. You raise scans.
How do I feed?
Give me a call tomorrow.
How do I...
Or I'll take your number and I'll call you. All right?
Well, can somebody answer my soil question? Is there a soil guy here? Can I grow a garden? When am I going to get a test? Can anybody grow a garden?
I would assume you can't grow a garden.
Well, what was the fallout? What was the smoke? The smoke is the evidence of unburnt fuel. PVC on the EPA's website is the most harmful thing to burn, and 2 of those untoxic train cars were PVC pellets.
We have over 2 million data points on air sampling.
Okay, well, Texas A&M did a study too, and it's conflicting.
Okay. Well, our data and EPA's data.
Okay, well, there's trash bags on air sensors too.
We're going to take 2 more questions, and then we're going to end for the evening.
So when's the soil guy going to answer a question? Is there a soil guy? I'd love a question. Like, I wasn't on a rant. I got a question.
I assumed that you could, so I guess you could.
Yeah, so again, we are beginning to initiate the review of a soil sampling plan for the greater community. We don't have that plan finalized yet. Once that plan is finalized, action will get initiated. So it's coming. So I don't know anything about this. Again.
Why are we here if you guys have no answer? Why are we here? This is starting tomorrow. None of our lives are normal. So why are we here?
My kid threw up as soon as I brought him back home. I got him on the top bunk and he projectile vomited all over the house when I brought him back home. Like, it's 5 miles away. I'm not in the 44413. We ain't getting no love. I love East Palestine to death. I mean,
I'm in Calcutta.
yeah.
Why are we here?
We hear you. Thank you.
My name is Mary Stanley. I've been a resident here for the last 8 years and a proud member of this community. I love it here. My question for whoever wants to get up and answer it is, if it's so safe for us to come back home, the day I come back home, I got out of my car, I couldn't breathe. I got in the house, I couldn't breathe. My question is, if it's so safe, then who were the men, if anybody wants to get up and answer, who, the investigators you sent to check this out, were dressed in full hazmat gear? If it's so safe, why did they have to wear that to check out? Everybody should be wearing one.
So my question to you is, ma'am, when in the response was that? Was that during the wildfire? Was that? I'm sorry.
Apparently it was afterwards.
Okay, so if there were individuals wearing hazmat gear, and again, I'm only speculating because I can't comment specifically about one individual's action. I'm speculating that they were probably wearing hazmat gear because they were working on site, if the fire was going on, and to, again, protect themselves while they're on site. Again, we'd have to check with our response personnel that were on site that night to find out exactly.
This was afterwards.
So again, that's what I was asking. So then we'd have to check with our guys. I can't give you that answer.
So why are we here, Laura? What about the 3 dead deer at Beaver Creek? 3 dead deer.
My last one. My name is Scott Snyder, and I guess I'll wrap this up tonight. I'd like an acknowledgement from people up there on the stage that we're not all the same. Our makeup is not the same. The chemicals in the atmosphere could be affecting people differently. So people that have symptoms, they shouldn't be dismissed. They should be looked at, and we shouldn't be here. I'd like to know why we were allowed to come home and why we have to be removed from here. Just out of an abundance of caution, because we've heard that phrase over and over and over. In fact, it was in Governor DeWine's email update today, out of an abundance of caution. Out of an abundance of caution, get some people out of here who are having trouble. Put them somewhere else where they can be safe and they can feel better. Amen. What's happened is not right. People are suffering for it.
Small children are suffering. Marco, that's what you wouldn't say here. You're going on the shop, Marco. Let's go. Can you state your name and title, please, sir?
My name is Daryl Wilson, and I'm part of the team that's here trying to work on the response and recovery.
Part of what team?
Part of the Norfolk Southern team that's here. So, what's your specific question?
Where's Alan?
Has there been any talk about relocating people?
There is not.
Why? Why is that? Whose call would that be?
I don't know whose call that will be.
Would your company be willing to pay for it if the EPA found it necessary?
What I'm going to state on this topic is right now, this will be an evolving conversation that's going to go on for quite a while. All right? We are going to make data-driven decisions. Okay? And we're going to continue to collect data and work with the partners at the Incident Command to look at all of that to make the right decisions. And going forward, we will make it right. Okay?
So we're losing students from the school district. The kids are coming into this school. They have symptoms. They get symptoms sometimes increase when they're in school. Teachers are having symptoms. People do not feel safe. I think that we should be shutting things down temporarily out of an abundance of caution. Last thing I would say, I would like to thank our first responders. Yeah, I'm very appreciative.
I live at ground zero. My house is 900 feet from that burn site, and I have not seen one of you. Nobody. I have not seen our mayor. I have not seen anybody come to my home where I have children and I have grandchildren. There are 6 houses right there on Taggart Street, and not one of you have had the guts to come out there to see if we are okay. We have not seen FEMA out there to give me a flyer that they've given everybody on the other side of town.
Thank you.
Nobody's come to us.
Nope, not one.
Do I have to wait until I have cancer, or my kids are sick, or my grandkids are sick before you guys are going to do anything? That's not right. You flooded my yard a couple days ago. They flooded my backyard.
They left the waste in mine. They left the waste in mine.
I have a substance across my grass. They sent somebody out to test. But I have to wait. My family's sick. I have to wait until you guys get them test results back before you guys are going to come and do anything to help me. But I haven't seen anybody. Nobody's out there.
Who work for the EPA.
We should not be living there. We are close enough to that place. We should not be there. I don't have the means to remove my family, or we would have been gone. And now I'm getting backlash from everybody gone. You shouldn't be there. How do I get out? How do I do it? I didn't choose to park the train in my backyard. I did not choose to set that thing on fire. That was not a choice of mine. It's not a choice of mine that I have to leave my family there neither. Why nobody is up there helping us.
Excuse me, I haven't said much about what a public spoken person. One thing I would like to approach in this community tonight is we are under this together. I'm one of you. I'm God-fearing, I'm hard-working, been for 30 years. I love this place. I don't like where we're at. I don't want to insult anyone. What I would like to know is this. I have most of my farm paid for. I went to the bank. This is to you. Look me in the eye. I can't hit you with my pocketbook. I can't touch you with anything other than my heart. I want out, and the bank will not lend me money. The insurance companies, they said they're going to put in a moratorium on insurance in East Palestine and that. And listen to me, please. My grandchildren, my children, wow. It's not safe here, sir. We're sick. I don't want your money. I want the ability to borrow my own money.
Yeah.
That's all I want. When you go home tonight, like you bleed, you breathe, you are no different than any other man. I want to get as close to you as I can, sir. If you want our trust, Mr. DeWine was asked yesterday. He was directly asked, are the workers on the railroad safe? Am I right or wrong? There was a railroad union worker that came forward to represent the railroad. He said that they're suffering from the same symptoms, Mr. Chang. We are not imagining this. This is not something we asked for, sir. I'm begging you, by the grace of God, please get our people out of here.
Yes.
And please don't. That's all I have to say.
That train derailed for the negative. Let me say one thing. Huntington Bank is the bank in our town. They will not loan anybody money in East Palestine. They said they will not even take any more loans, no matter how great your credit is. They won't loan you 10 cents because of Norfolk Southern. So are you proud of that, sir? Are you proud of that? The EPA should be stuck. We're stuck.
I want to address that. I want to address the Huntington Bank.
Do that.
I know I already did. I talked to the CEO, Steve, I don't know his last name. He said that is totally untrue. I'm just telling you what he said. So if that's the case, and that is true, it'll be handled. I will call him as soon as I'm done off the stage tonight. Because he gave me his word that that was not the case. They're in this for the long haul. They're coming down, they're doing events in town, and they said that's not the issue. But if it is the issue, I'll get to the bottom of it.
Maybe they've changed, but last week that was their statement.
I talked to him Friday afternoon, and he guaranteed me that was not the case. Because I was appalled that they would do that to our residents. No lending institution. There is people that want to leave. I'm sorry I don't have the power to say you have to move us out of this town. But I will put every ounce of pressure I can on them to do something about the situation. Yes, I hear your concerns. There is definitely sickness in this town, and we keep getting told that it's safe.
This was company Columbus, Ohio, Huntington and Columbus.
I will check into it, sir. I will give you my word on that. So we're going to wrap the question and answers up for this evening. I'm going to give one more question to this young man here. That's it. Will everybody please be quiet? Let this young man answer his question. This is going to be our last question. If you have any other questions, there's still the information fair going on in the gym till 9 p.m. I know everybody's going to leave this without all the answered questions they want. We're still trying to get answers. I know this is ridiculous, it's taking so long, but we will get to the bottom of this. And the only way we're going to get to the bottom of this is if we all stay together and not have outbursts. What'd you say? Everybody everybody that's on this stage, including myself, will be next door as soon as this concludes. They'll be there too. We're going to let the young man... Yes, there's going to be, from what my understanding, there's going to be an information fair next week, and then the following Thursday, and then again the next Thursday we are going to have another town hall session like this, and I'm going to ask that it go a little longer, and I'm going to ask that there's no speeches before, it's just truly a question and answer time. All right, so everybody please be quiet, let this young gentleman answer a question, and then we'll conclude for the evening in this part.
What is a superfund, and is East Palestine a superfund?
Thank you for your question, young man. So is East Palestine a Superfund site? That's what you're asking, right? What is a Superfund? I'll explain that in a second. Thank you. The answer is no. However, the authority that EPA is using to order the company, Norfolk Southern, to take action to clean up this mess is done under a law called CERCLA. CERCLA stands for the Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation and Liability Act.
So it's a brownfield?
So CERCLA is part of the larger Superfund finance program that was established back in the early 80s. A Superfund site traditionally is what we call a large remedial site that has a lot of requirements attached to it. A removal site under the same regulation, which this is a temporary cleanup action to remove the worst hazards. I doubt that this site will ever become a Superfund site. I hope that answers your question.
One last thing, anybody that needs anything, please call my office, leave your number with my administrative assistant, and I will try to get back to you in a timely manner. I've been lacking in that on my cell phone. I know my voicemail's been full. Any resident, even non-resident, if you have a question and you need an answer, please contact Village Hall, leave your number with my assistant, and I will call you, and I can't guarantee I'll have the answer right then, but I will hunt down the answer for you. So I thank everybody for coming, thank everybody for their patience, and please be safe on your way home.